So Neokry is going to chat with us about the Bali upgrade, as well as the migrating DAOs to the L2, and a couple of props that we have up right now for Builder. And funny enough, I was going to go settle the auction because we have somebody who just won, who I think is fairly new to the DAO. And I was like, oh, go settle it so we see what the new one is. And it was like, I think it's like 100 and something gwei. And it was going to cost me like 100 something dollars. And I was like, nope.
Yeah, that's
So
painful.
that's
Many
why
such
we're moving
cases.
to an L2.
Many
Yep.
such cases.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is the reason that we're doing this. So, Neo, can you tell us a little bit about what's the Bali upgrade? What does it include? And just kind of detail out what the benefits are for not only Builder DAO, but any of the DAOs that are on Nouns Builder. We'll start
Yeah.
there.
So basically, the Bali upgrade is what we've been working on for the last few months, and it's kind of like the version 2 of the protocol is kind of how we're thinking about it. And it includes quite a few features. I mean, one of the most major upgrades for current DAOs would be migration. So if you're on L1 right now, you're paying very high gas. You can basically migrate your DAO over to L2 in like a pretty safe and trustless way. And then you can essentially continue running your DAO operations from L2 where fees are dramatically reduced, and it'll be a lot easier for people to buy into the auctions, to put up proposals, to vote. And then I think that's also going to unlock some really cool use cases once we get like on-chain frames where it's like people will be able to just vote on the Farcaster feed and you won't even have to think about it because the fees are going to be so cheap, or the DAOs can sponsor fees and things like that. So that's a
Let
whole
me
other
double click on that real quick because
Yep.
I know there's been a lot of talk of frames and trying to incorporate the DAO pieces of this. What conversations are you having, and how close are we to doing that kind of stuff with the on-chain action from the frame?
I've actually thought about this like a lot, and I've thought about this from like before frames or even a thing of like how can we make an app where people can just vote gaslessly super easily. And my original solution was to like make an app where everyone has their own wallet and you delegate to this like hot wallet and then you can vote. So Farcaster has a wallet built into it right now, but you can't execute any transactions from it. You can only basically do like the paying with warps and then either minting completely for free. So the main issue right now is that for votes, essentially it would have to be like one server wallet, and you can't have one wallet vote for, against, and abstain for one prop. You basically have to take all your votes and vote only for, take all your votes and vote only no. And
we were actually just talking about this limitation on Nouncil this morning, because that's also a challenge that we have in Nouncil, where we're 90 people in Nouncil and maybe 40 of them are active, and we've got 25 nouns delegated to us, and it would be great to be able to have some granular control over how those nouns voted based on how Nouncilers feel, but unfortunately it's just not possible in the current
So you're thinking
governor.
more percentage wise is what you were thinking there, Toady? Like if
to me that would be the ideal, I think.
Yeah.
And it would help with sort of certain people's existential fear about Nouncil becoming too powerful or this or that, if it more proportionally reflected the feelings of the council. But anyway, not to derail Neokry, but just to mention
really interesting.
Neokry.
Yeah, we're going to be bad on that.
No, but that's an important point
that's
also.
Yeah,
because Verb's team is building out an NFT governor. So essentially what we're all using right now is a fork of the compound governor, which is built for ERC20 tokens. And it was just modified to kind of work with NFTs, like work well enough. So this new NFT governor from scratch is basically going to give us all what we want, which is like you can vote with individual NFTs no matter how many are in one wallet or multiple wallets or things like that. So
it's so silly the way we do. Like when you think about it, how long we've been using a governor that was just designed not to be used with NFTs. It's kind of crazy and amazing at the same time. But if you've ever had to do any kind of like moving of nouns around for governance, you realize how stupid it is to be you know, moving $20,000 NFTs around just so you can put a prop up from one address and also vote with the other one or whatever, you know.
It's from a
Exactly.
security aspect. So this governor has been used for years, essentially, and it's been battle tested and it's been
For sure.
audited for
For sure, yeah.
years. So it was a lot easier for the Nouns original team to start with something that's so solid and basically build upon that.
Makes
But
sense, yeah.
like now we're obviously hitting the limits of that. So this new NFT governor is going to be super useful, in my opinion, for things, for experiments like this, and also for some other things that I've been thinking about, where you can essentially like put a bunch of, say, nouns into a contract, and then you can like mint out like 1,000 or 2,000 other NFTs, and then people can vote like essentially sub votes. So you could basically take like thousands and have them vote with like hundreds of nouns, if that makes sense. So that will also be
So
possible
essentially,
with an
like,
NFT
I
governor.
mean, there's been that effort with Federation, but I don't think it's fully fleshed out for some of us, or definitely, not something we've done with Builder yet. But that's another need of these subgroups to be able to vote, like kind of what you're talking about, sub DAOs or subgroups to be able to vote on DAO proposals. So we have Purple as a good example. They use Snapshot for voting on Builder DAO proposals because they own a Builder DAO token. So they do snapshot and then they process through a delegate. So if we could smooth that out somehow where it's a little more direct, that would be incredible too. Like that's another area.
So yeah, that's all kind of unrelated to the Bali governor. That was basically like, what do we need to do to get frames working? So the other route is like the on-chain actions through frames that the Farcaster team is basically developing right now. So when they basically asked like what use cases do people want to support, and a bunch of people were talking about DAO governance. So I think this is something that they're likely going to try and build towards. So I don't know exactly what their solution will be, but it'll likely be you'll delegate to like a Farcaster wallet, and then essentially you'll be able to vote on proposals from that. Is
That's
how
really
I think
cool.
it'll be. Yeah,
That's really cool. That would, I think that would increase our participation tremendously. And
yeah,
especially if we can even cover the gas, if it's so tiny because we're on an L2, then it's not, it's not a huge lift for the DAOs to cover that, or for Builder DAO to even build something out to help cover some of these other active DAOs that we want to encourage.
And then the third option I've actually seen for people is you can essentially make like a Gnosis safe for every NFT token holder. And then you can essentially have this backend like call through to the Gnosis safe and allow anyone to like vote. So you'll be able to delegate to a Gnosis safe. You'll put a bit of funds in it, or the DAO can fund it, and then you'll essentially be able to like vote through the frame to your Gnosis safe, and then that executes the vote. So that is also interesting, but that is a lot
I
of
saw a bunch of people mentioning using safe, leveraging safe for pseudo or proto on-chain actions. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting, but it does have limitations, and it is kind of like a lot more technically hard to set up. So my bet is
it's janky. You can just say it. It's
janky.
janky.
It's janky.
It's a little janky.
So my bet is going to be on the on-chain actions for frames is going to come first.
Cool.
And then I think when the token governor comes out, I think that's going to make things easier as well. But yeah, we'll see.
It's really interesting how quickly things are moving, because frames only launched 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks tomorrow. And that's the hackathon from like 2 weeks ago behind me. So
it's crazy.
It's crazy how quickly like they're moving. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about DAOs that want to migrate to an L2. And just first off, really quick, the why, because, basically the cost, right now it's going to cost $100 just to settle the Builder DAO auction. So that would be like pennies. In terms of voting, in terms of proposals, it makes it much more accessible for everybody. Toady, I know, Yellow is on base, so they launched on the L2. They didn't have to migrate, but I'm sure you've seen that. Like you settle a nouns auction every day, so you are very much aware of like
I see
what
both
it costs.
sides of it. I often settle the nouns auction for today was $90, which is
oh
like what am I even doing with my life? and then we'll have yellow clock coming up later this afternoon, and it'll be cents, like literal
Like
cents.
you don't
So
even
it
know
just
how
takes that
much it is.
friction.
It's so tiny that you don't even know. Like I don't
It's
even
going
know
to
how
get
much
cheaper.
this is.
That's
Yeah,
the crazy thing.
I
It's
know.
it's about to get 100 times cheaper, which is
On
like,
March
Yeah,
11th, it'll
yeah,
be
that's crazy.
cheaper. And
yeah,
it'll
it's
also
nuts.
kind of like decouple from the L1 gas. So right now, if L1 gas
Wow.
spikes, L2 gas spikes, because the majority of the cost is basically putting data onto L1. But
Right.
after this upgrade, there will essentially be another payment system for L2s to make that deposit onto L1, and it'll be a different pricing structure. So it'll basically, hopefully, not fluctuate as much, and yeah, it'll just be a lot easier for everyone to price stuff and a lot cheaper. So
Will we need
excited
to make
for.
any changes
Not at
for
all.
us when that happens? It's just
It's an
all
Ethereum
okay.
protocol level upgrade, an
Okay.
Ethereum level hard fork. So essentially, we live on the layer above that, so we don't touch any of that.
Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
All right. So DAOs who want to migrate, this is the why. How do they take this step if they want to move their current mainnet DAO on Nouns Builder over to one of the L2s? And we've got Optimism, Base, and Zoranet. So how do they go about that?
Yeah, so we've tried to make this as like dead simple as possible. So in designing all this stuff, we had like a couple of routes we could go, and we decided on how can we make this as easy for any DAO to migrate as possible. So currently it's in like a closed beta is how I'm kind of framing it. So it's like if you want access to this proposal template, you reach out to us, and since it's still early, we want to work together pretty closely with the DAOs and not have this open up because we don't know if there'll be any potential issues. So step one is you reach out to us. Step two, we enable this proposal template for you, and it basically walks you through the 3 steps to migrate your DAO. So step one, you pass the proposal to pause your auctions. So this is because we take a snapshot of your holders in step two, and we don't want anyone to kind of like be mid bid or like not have settled their auction before that snapshot is taken, because then it's essentially someone will win the final bid and they won't be included in the L2 holders, and then it's kind of an awkward situation, and then you have to
Awkward.
airdrop them or whatever.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's like that meme, the meme with the guy in the swing. He'll be that guy
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
alone.
painful situation for that final user, and that would really suck. So essentially step one is you pause auctions, and then once that goes through, step two is you take a snapshot of all your holders. This is all in the proposal template, so I'm just
Mhm.
describing what happens on the back end, but you just show up to the proposal template. It'll generate the snapshot for you. It'll basically take all your DAO's current info, and then once you set up the proposal, what happens is it'll call the bridge to whatever L2 that you want to migrate to, and it'll send a little packet of information to a contract on L2 that we have set up. And then once that packet of information hits the L2, we have a bunch of automation tasks that we'll be running where we'll essentially deploy the DAO for you. We'll set up the artwork so it'll be the same as L1. And then we will airdrop all of the holders on L2. And the way this is set up, it's all trustless. So the other option was you can go in and execute all these transactions yourself if you want to, or any DAO member can do it. And it's set up in such a way where no one can execute the deployment with the wrong DAO data, or no one can airdrop to a holder that doesn't exist on L1. No one can set the artwork to something that wasn't already set on L1. So you can run these transactions yourself. We have a relayer set up, and we're paying for DAOs to handle it. We're paying to handle all these automations for these DAOs to make it as simple as possible. Or in the future, if Builder DAO blows up for some reason, this relayer and this automation stuff is open source, so anyone can run it and fund their own wallet to basically go and automate all this stuff for a DAO themselves. So,
Assuming that like once we get through this migration part, we won't really even have much of a need because most people would, make that choice at the beginning to move to an L2 just for the reasons we're saying, but you never know. You might have people who want to stay on the ETH mainnet for a while and then may not come to that realization till later. Or,
yep.
they may die on that ETH mainnet. I'm looking at you, BitNouns. I keep
You never
trying.
know. I
I go
know.
over there every once in a while and be like, are we ready yet? And like, no, we're getting tattoos. I'm like, okay. Which
Wait,
say
what?
like, oh, BitNouns is refusing to move to an L2 and they are the perfect one to move to an L2. because they are mainnet maxis, and they're like made a joke that they were going to get a tattoo that basically said mainnet or die or something like that. So this is if you
I've
know
been
who
there.
that is.
I used to be in that camp, so I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it from a philosophical, but you have to, get practical because it's just not sustainable. It's not really fair to your holders, frankly. If you want them to be voting and participating, it's asking a lot to, pay $5 every time you want to vote or something or more, or not be able to vote because it's so high and crazy. You're just not going to. So for me, it's like this is, you're disenfranchising a lot of people if we don't get that cost part of it under control, for sure. Okay, so right now, the way you do this, you want to move from mainnet to L2, you jump in the Discord, you reach out to me, reach out to you directly, however you want to get there. We get you connected, and that's how we make this move as of right now to make sure that everything goes well. And then let's talk a little bit about you have a proposal up
Oh wait, there's
for
one
funding. Oh,
final
go ahead.
step.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. The last step is super easy. It's basically just migrating the treasury over. So you can choose to send any amount of the treasury over to L2 once your DAO has been deployed and your holders have all their NFTs and stuff. You can basically the final step of the proposal template sets it up so it automatically sends directly to your new treasury, and you can send your full amount, send a quarter year amount, send one ETH. It depends on what DAOs want to do and how safe they want to play it. And then once that treasury is set up, the holders can essentially unpause the auctions like normal, and then basically start auctions and run governance and do all the current stuff that they do exactly the same. And then
Can I
the
ask a quick
L1,
question,
yep,
Neokry? So the people who own L1 tokens, will their tokens be duplicated on L2 or migrated?
duplicated.
Okay,
So
that's what I thought.
L1 tokens continue to exist. We do this because you might have ERC20s, you might have NFTs, you might have different things in the treasury that you want to do stuff with, So if
Right.
we had these L1 tokens locked up, there could be a chance that, oh no, we still have stuff in our treasury that we want to deal with. So let's not migrate over until we kind of handle all that stuff,
Right.
which could take months, years. There's not really a good solution for migrating over NFTs anywhere. So
No.
Yeah.
I
there's
was
big
thinking
open
that
questions with
because we
that.
have NFTs in our treasury because we had that donation option where people,
Yeah,
when they were starting a DAO, and so those are on mainnet, we can't move them
We have
until we have a
worse.
exactly.
We
super
have worse.
chain.
We
I
have
know.
worse than that at the Noun Square.
I know.
We have a safe. We accidentally sent a bunch of NFTs on the base network to our safe before we
Mm,
understood that before we
Yep.
fully understood that
we can't
safe
take them.
addresses are contract
Yeah.
addresses. So we lost a bunch of poor animals
Oh
that are
no.
stuck in a base safe
Yeah, this is a
forever.
warning to anyone
Yeah.
playing with L2 is that your addresses are not guaranteed to be the same across all networks,
In a
especially
safe
safes.
specifically. Yeah.
Safes, a
Yep. Especially safes.
1000% are not guaranteed.
No,
So
they're not.
make sure
Like,
you
yeah.
triple check your addresses.
Yeah, because
Although
I have
there
a
is a
safe
really
attached to my Farcaster account and my regular one, and some stuff has been sent to the safe, and I can't get to it. So
Yep.
it's not good.
Having said that, though, there is a really cool tool that we just used this week to set up new safes for the Yellow Collective and for TNS, and it basically propagates the same smart contract address across all of the different OP
Ooh.
stacks. So now we do have the same address on base, on mainnet, on OP, and on
Hmm.
Zora, so that any of our mints, our creator rewards, whatever, we can just deal with them as normal. People can send to an address, and it won't matter because it's the same on all. So I'll find the name of that tool in
That
the
would be
chat. So
great because I'm sure there's other DAOs that need it, including Builder DAO.
Yep.
Desperately. So now
Yeah.
we're gonna have all these DAOs and all
So
these
many
different chains,
saves.
and yeah, so we definitely need to figure that out. We've been trying to. I've been just waiting for the super chain. Isn't there a super chain coming sometime? I don't know. I don't know
Yep.
what.
this
I
is,
don't even know any. Like I just say things and I don't even know what they mean. But
I mean, that is what the super chain will do
right?
eventually. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But the
But we don't.
thing is, the addresses are not guaranteed across the super chain either.
True.
yeah, right. The liquidity will be, but the addresses
Right.
will
Yes,
still be
you'll
different.
be
Yeah.
able
Right.
to do a transaction from Zora to base seamlessly, but yeah, there's still a chance that that address could not be the same.
So it's called multi-safe, guys. So it's actually it's
Multi-safe. Hmm.
multi-safe by Small DApp, and they've done quite a few DApps, and
Hmm.
they're pretty known and very safe
Yep.
outfits. So SMOLD.app/safe. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to take an existing mainnet and clone it onto the other two. And I don't know if
Ah.
that's because that smart contract address already existed on one of those, and maybe that's why it wouldn't work. So we ended up having to make a new mainnet save and then 3 separate saves for OP, Base, and Zora, but it was pretty easy to do.
Yeah,
So yeah.
the reason is because when you're deploying through something like multi-save, they use a special version of like the deployment function where
Okay.
it'll be guaranteed to be the same across networks.
Okay.
Whereas, like say the original Gnosis safe, if you deployed it, it's not guaranteed to be the same across networks because it's using like the standard contract creation function.
Cool. Very cool. I did want to ask about the prop that you have up, Neo, and it's
Yeah.
prop 91, and it is fund the L2 DAO migration. If you want to just kind of quickly talk about what we're doing with this, and I'm showing it on the screen. You guys can't see it, but it's being shown. So if you want to just kind of go through what this is and what we're doing with this prop.
Yeah, essentially when I talked about the step 2 after snapshotting and when you send that little packet of information to L2 and then we run all that automation, this is funding that automation step. So it's essentially Builder DAO paying to relay these transactions and airdrop to the L2 holders to make it as simple as possible for any L1 DAO to migrate over to L2. So we basically just want to like handle the fees, handle all the execution transaction stuff for the L1 DAOs looking to migrate, just to make it as simple as possible for everyone to migrate over and to just have like a super easy user experience. So that's essentially what that prop is funding. And then it has a little bit of a breakdown on like how much it costs per DAO depending on gas prices. And I mean, gas prices have spiked right now, so
Right.
it might go
Well,
over, it might go under.
we'd probably wait until,
Yeah,
you know, it calmed down a little bit anyway.
yeah, exactly.
And there was a few different DAOs that are planning to migrate right now. Are they all migrating to base, or is there anyone doing anything different as of right now?
I think most are going to base so far.
Okay. So we have Purple, Park, Builder DAO, but that's up for vote right now. Black Hand, Nouns DAO Africa, and Lil Toads have already signaled that they're going to be migrating. And I know Lil Toads has been in touch. So if you have one of these DAOs, make sure you touch base with Neo so we can get you going. And Builder DAO has a vote up now. So we have a prop up to move to base. This is live now. I believe it may have just gone up. Just opened, and we're going to be chatting about that in our DAO meeting at 5 p.m. Eastern today. So if you are around, please swing by there and check out what we're doing there and give your opinion and make sure you vote. And I had told people to undelegate for me so that they would have their own vote because just in case I decide not to vote with the big wallet, I didn't want anybody left out. So, and I'd love to see, by the way, never delegate to a whale. What is wrong with you people? Like it's a bad
Prof just
idea.
wanted to flex. She just wanted to call herself a whale.
It's true. But I'm like, why are you delegating? I don't know. That's a bad idea. Don't do
Too
that.
powerful.
You should only be that doesn't make sense. So anyway,
Delegate to Toady. No.
don't delegate to Toady either. Just kidding. You can delegate to Toady. So anyway, I really want to see a lot of people chime in and make sure that we're all aligned and on the same page. But I think we have a really good plan for a launch as well. And a lot of support from the Noun Square and Yellow Collective and Base and Jesse. And it's also involving base management, the park, base paint, speed tracer. We kind of took Yellow Collective's launch plan and copied it. That's
CC
basically what I
zero.
did. That's what I
CC
did.
It
zero, bro.
worked.
That launch plan was CC0. I just grabbed
That
it
was
and
great.
ran with it and put our twist on it, and that's it.
I have
Yeah.
to say too, like obviously a lot of planning went into our launch, and all the
Yep.
collabs took a lot of coordination, and our team is pretty good at pulling that kind of stuff off. But I do have to say, like, the support from the base community at large for our launch was just really blew us away. So I mean, when I weighed in on that conversation in Builder, that's where my perspective was coming from, because we were in a very similar spot 8 months ago when we were trying to figure out how we would launch, because our nomos are on Optimism. All of our media was being minted on Zora, and we saw all of the energy that was happening around on-chain summer, and so we were really kind of torn. We're like, where do we launch? And ultimately, we just kind of made a gut feeling call. It would have been fine on any of those three, honestly, but we just made a gut feeling call about the culture and like the energy, the Builder energy that's happening on base. And I think we made the right call because like Jesse and the rest of the crew from Base have just put so much work into amplifying what we're doing. And you know, you got to do the stuff first, but then to have the team also willing to amplify and get that out to their network is huge. They've also given us a grant. They matched our Builder DAO grant, which was amazing. Let us get on, you know, hit the ground running. So we've been super impressed by the support from Base, and then also, like I said, the broader community. Every single person I talk to, you know, from Base Paint or from Speed Tracer, from all of these different Base operations, when we were like, hey, kind of thinking about doing something, and I thought, hey, I'll ask 10 people, and maybe we'll end up with like 2 collabs or 3 collabs. And before I knew it, we had like 2 collabs per day for 5 days. Like, why fuck it, we'll just do it. We'll just do it all because everyone was so down to collab, and I love that. I love that collaborative energy. It's what brought me to Nouns, quite frankly, is that collaborative energy, that positive sum energy. No one feeling like you're competing with anyone else, and that's what we're seeing. That's what I'm seeing anyway in the
That's
basic
exactly
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
exactly my, my take as well. And that was my big push. It was really um that you can't beat like the support level that Jesse and that team is giving right now, from like amplifying everything and just being like, hey, if you need something, let us know. If you need, we'll put somebody on it. And it's been really, I've just been super impressed. So I'd say a couple months ago, I was leaning more OP. I understood, it made sense. Like maybe we're more, neutral, et cetera. But to me, it was like, this is a no brainer. They've done way too much. Watching all the support they gave for Yellow Collective launch, it was incredible. I mean, how can you can't beat that. So I'm really excited because also there would be a prop house before the launch week that would add to the launch week. So giving kind of anyone in Nouns Builder, anyone really who wanted to support the launch in their way, an opportunity to come up with their creative way. So it wasn't all just coming from, my head copying what Toady already did. So, giving a little bit
Hey, it's fine to copy, you know. So, imitation is the sincerest form of
Just form of
flattery.
flattery. There you go. Yeah. It was
It
like,
was a great
we're just gonna
launch.
do what they did. Just do that. Just do that. Why not? And so I'm really excited, but we'll see. We're gonna, hopefully that vote goes through.
By
And
the way,
also,
Base Paint in particular is
yeah,
like a no-brainer go to market. If you are launching
amazing.
anything on, well, even if it's not on Base, honestly, but if it's on Base especially, like, you got to do a Base Paint day. All you have to do
Yep.
is mint 1,000. You make an agreement to mint 1,000 of
Yep.
whatever the piece will be. You can
One
then
one ETH
you can
worth.
use those
1 ETH worth.
NFT.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they
sorry,
said.
one ETH.
Yeah. 1 ETH
Yeah,
worth.
sorry, one
Yeah.
ETH worth. Yeah, sorry. And then you get all this amazing collaborative energy, and you get to keep the Base Paints that you can
I
use as
know.
prizes and stuff like. It's just
So we're going
no
to
brainer.
distribute one to every holder at least, and then we're going to use them as prizes. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this was a no-brainer to me. I was like, wow, that's fantastic. Let's do that.
That's
And
awesome.
also get to see the creativity of, the community. We're going to have some paintbrushes that we're going to be able to give away. And, I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. I think it's also, we can tap into Zora a little bit with that too. I'm sure their community will be excited, add some Zorbs to that thing. So it'll be fun. I'm excited. Hopefully, if it passes, but it's up for vote soon or now, and we'll be talking about it more this afternoon. Also, ETH Denver, I'm gonna be putting a prop up in the next hour to support Purple's event at ETH Denver, as well as to have a moving billboard that'll be outside that event with our Builder DAO little mini doc on there playing.
Oh,
So
nice.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so we're gonna do a couple little fun things, fun activations at ETH Denver. We also have hopefully a panel that's supposed to happen. Haven't heard it finalized yet, but we're hoping, with Toady and me and Chris Corella. So I'm excited for all the stuff we're having. Hoping
Wait, what am I
going
agreeing
on this
to?
week.
No, I'm just kidding.
You already told you you're on there already. Like, by the way, for that application, like, you gave me your real name, and I was like, I'm never gonna put this on anything. So I still put Toady Hawk on the application. I was like,
I'm pretty sure
they're
you
not even
made
gonna
me.
know who you are.
I'm pretty sure you made me docs for that.
You did.
So
Well, the rest of the stuff, it wasn't me. It was East Denver. But I was like, when I put the name down, I'm like, I'm not like, you're always Toady Hawk to me. You're not gonna be anybody else.
don't you
It's like,
forget it. Don't you
yeah,
ever use my real name.
I know, that's ridiculous. Get your real name out of my mouth. Yeah. So, did I miss anything, Neo, that you wanted to highlight from this? Any other features or things that you wanted to mention regarding this recent upgrade, or anything that's coming that you haven't had a chance to talk about?
Yeah, there's the protocol rewards is super interesting.
Yeah, I want
So
to
we
hear more
Can you
about
explain
that.
that? Yeah, can you
yeah,
explain that a little bit?
so essentially we saw what Zora protocol rewards were, and we thought, wow, this is very interesting way to kind of like generate revenue for Zora, generate revenue for creators, generate revenue for like the first mentors. So we thought we would try and design a system that kind of would work with all the different participants of the protocol. So the people that we were trying to reward essentially are the people that are creating DAOs. So we want people that are creating DAOs to be able to earn not just the tokens but also ETH, because this is a lot of hard work to start DAOs. Both of you guys know that,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's a tough
I've heard
job,
tell. I've heard tell. Yeah.
thankless job.
No, that's why we didn't call it a DAO. It's an on-chain
Yes.
club.
It's an
So
Yeah,
on-chain
yeah,
club. It's not a
now it
DAO.
must be less
Much
work,
exactly.
easier.
right?
Not the same, right? Not much easier.
But it's very hard to start these communities, so we want to basically like have some levers to pull where we can kind of incentivize people to make this stuff and feel like they might be able to earn some rewards and be able to, you know, make a little bit of ETH off of starting a really cool community. The other thing that we wanted to fund was front end development. So we've seen these DAOs kind of start building interfaces like Purple, and like
Mm-hmm.
Yellow Collective owns their own interface, and we kind of want this to be a sustainable thing. We want DAOs to be able to create their interfaces and just make it easier so they don't have to pay a guy every single month to kind of make this work. We want it to be kind of permissionless, where anyone can build an interface for Yellow Collective or aggregates of DAOs and be able to earn fees off that. So that's the second part of the fee, is a front end fee. It defaults to nouns.build, but anyone can basically make their own interface that participates in the auction system and earn fees off that. So maybe in the future, someone makes a really cool frame that gets a lot of people
Cool.
auctioning off of. Someone should earn rewards off of that. If it's this is basically DAOs paying for interfaces. That's kind
So
of
so
how
is
I
this
see it.
adding a fee to every auction bid? Is that what's happening? Or
Essentially it is taking a small portion of the auction and
yeah,
using it to pay for this front end fee or for the founder fee. And then the
yeah.
third one is like essentially a protocol development fund, is how I see it, where it's going to Builder DAO and it's going to be used to make new metadata renders, make upgrades to the protocol,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of sustain protocol development, is how I think this third fee should be used. It's essentially just going to the Builder DAO treasury, so it's used as whatever Builder DAO decides to do, whether that be ecosystem development, protocol development. We are most likely the only ones that are going to be touching the protocol, because it's pretty expensive to fund protocol development. It's expensive to audit things.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, even if DAOs aren't benefiting fully from new features from the protocol, it's driving new people to create DAOs. So we've seen, like with some of the recent Bali upgrades, we have new metadata renders that are kind of more geared toward artists, that we are seeing some people interested in starting these creator DAOs. So while that might not
Mm-hmm.
directly benefit Purple or Yellow, it's going to bring more eyes on the Builder DAO ecosystem. It's going to make more people understand how nounish DAOs operate. It's going to, if people are buying into
Mm-hmm.
creator DAOs, that'll be like, oh, what are these other DAOs that might be interesting? Oh, yellow. Oh, purple. Oh, like it'll kind of bring
All
more
the
people
colors.
into the ecosystem. Yeah, every color.
All the
And
So
colors.
also, it's like the opposite of the tragedy of the commons too, where the more DAOs that come in and use the protocol and are successful, the more people are contributing to those pools, and so the less the burden is on each individual DAO. Also,
Right.
exactly.
Exactly.
So we're essentially, this is our way to sustainably fund the infrastructure and the people that are creating the DAOs, is kind of my vision on the protocol rewards.
Can you talk a little bit? You mentioned metadata renderer, like the custom. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you're doing and how we're addressing some of those ideas that people are coming to you with?
Yeah, so the first custom metadata renderer I had to make was actually for the migration flow. So essentially, it's a metadata renderer that lets you keep the L1 like generations, essentially. So when
Mm-hmm.
you settle an auction, that essentially chooses the artwork, and like it basically builds up over the weeks and months of like settling auctions. You have all this data on L1 of like what artworks get selected, and to basically transfer that over to L2, we had to kind of build some stuff on top of the current metadata render that lets you take all these attributes and then send them to L2, and then anyone can basically like apply the attributes onto the new metadata render. So that essentially needed a custom metadata render. And then another really cool thing we have going is artists want to be able to use these DAOs, but they might not want to make like layered generative artwork. So the new metadata render that we're developing, it's called the sequential metadata render. Very not like cool name, very technical name, but we'll probably have a cooler name to brand it as. But essentially, artists can come in and they can say like, hey, I want to auction off like 100 images, 100 videos, 100 albums, whatever they want to auction off, and they can basically say like, okay, I want this to be video number 1, video 2, 3, 4, 5, and then every day or every week or whatever their time frame is, it'll kind of pull from these lists of videos and say like, okay, here's token 1, it's auctioning off this first video, which is like, say say you want to auction off your whole like YouTube channel essentially, so you'll be able to pull in videos one at a time in order, and then that'll be kind of the
That's cool.
token artwork instead of like this randomized generative system. So that's something we've seen a lot of creators really interested in, is like, one, how can I make a DAO but not use generative artwork? Two, how can I do different media like music or videos or 3D models or whatever your thing is? You want to put that as a DAO or something. And then another thing that also applies with this is the founder rewards. So essentially a creator can come in, they can set founder rewards, and they can auction off different art that they want to use. So the current way
we set up, can I ask a question about how that will change? For example, what we did with yellow. So with yellow, we wanted to do a founder allocation similar to what purple has done and other DAOs have done when they launched on Nouns Builder. But we had the very good advice, both from Prof and from Chris, to consider not doing that allocation right at the start of the DAO, because it would have basically eliminated tokens 1 through 13, right? And that's, people like to have some excitement over the first tokens of a DAO, early ID, etc. So we ended up taking a bit of a chance, I guess, and just letting the auctions go as they would for the first 10 tokens. And we did a prop that would be executed after the 10th token to do that founder allocation. And we were so happy with the way the DAO was shaping up and how much fun everyone was having that we ended up waiting until the 20th token actually to trigger that allocation and take our founders allocation. Would there be a new way to do something like this without having to kind of do it in the risky way that we went about it? And I say risky because there's always the chance that if the DAO had developed differently, people could have said, "Oh, screw the founders. I'm not voting.
Exactly.
I'm voting against this or whatever." But
I was in Toady's DMs like, you need to get that prop up like right now.
So what you're talking about is the token allocation. So this is for the founder rewards essentially. So the founder rewards come in ETH. So they're a percentage of each auction that go to a wallet specified via the founder. So this can be like a split. So you can have it split to like 10 different wallets, or it can just be like the one creator that is like making all the art and essentially starting up the DAO or whatever. So it's an ETH reward versus a token reward.
And this is something that could be changed. Like, for example, if yellow or another DAO or purple DAO decided to change from their current system of 10% of all NFTs to a creator reward in ETH, they could do that?
Yes.
A founder reward. Interesting.
As long as you're on the V2 upgrade.
Yeah.
How do the individual DAOs that already exist on the L2s, how do they do that upgrade?
Yeah, so you can do it via Etherscan right now, which is the shitty way to do it, or we're gonna build this into the product over the next few days. But my entire
Wait, isn't it already there? We've already got a prop live, or is that something different?
Different.
I'll have to check it out. But
when I go into my dashboard, when we went into our dashboard on activity, at the top it said upgrade to Bali, and we triggered it, and it's already active and voting.
Oh, that means once that executes, you'll be on V2 essentially.
Yeah. So
it's
already in there then.
Exactly. But to enable like the founder rewards or whatever, there's not a front end for it yet. My main attention right now has been on getting the migration feature out. So that has been a lot of work essentially. So once that is rolling out, and we feel good about that. Then we're going to start enabling these new features like the founder rewards and also the allow list setup, which is a whole other thing as well, and which kind of ties into this collection plus idea too, which is a whole another thread as well. So
We
yeah,
probably need to do this again on just Collection Plus, by the way. So that's like a
I
whole
know
other
this
animal.
is
Yeah, there's a
honestly,
lot going on. It's pretty
yeah,
big.
we scoped out this upgrade as like, oh, this is like pretty small, like we can handle it, and then like
It's a
we're like,
lot.
oh wow, there's like actually a whole bunch of stuff that we can do as well, because like yeah, we
The
designed it in a pretty
creator, I think
flexible way.
the idea, like all these ideas really open up a lot of opportunities because I had multiple conversations with some folks who wanted to start it out, but the big thing was like, we want to do it, but we have these certain artists we're going to use, and we want to have them not be the same piece of art, but we don't really want to do generative, and we want to switch it every 3 months. And it was like, you can do it. It's not gonna be smooth. It's not gonna work in the way you want it to.
Yep.
And now it absolutely could. So that's exciting to me. Like I can go back to them and be like, okay, now we can do that idea, and it's a
It's
great
good for us
idea.
too at Yellow too, because that's part of our
Yeah,
baked-in plan is to upgrade the descriptor often. So
right.
we're gonna be updating a bunch of heads soon, ideally. So
So
yeah,
that's one thing I have a question for you, Neo. So they're going to update their head soon. How do they make sure that the ones that are already in existence don't get flipped
don't get
somehow
borked.
to a new head because now you've mixed in a whole bunch of things? Is that something they need to come to you for at this
Yeah, come
point?
to me for that, because
Okay.
we have a proposal template that we were working on, but then we had a blocker for it from the Zora side, and then we never ended up releasing it. So that's like basically done. I just need to kind of put finishing touches on that. So yeah, when you want to do that, reach out to me, and then we can help you set that up.
We're gonna definitely. I think there's been a lot of talk about changing up Builder DAO's art. So I know we'll have a chance to test that out. I
Well, how
loved,
did it go with purple? Did
yeah.
you guys? I guess
They had to do a
Neokry
custom, right?
helped with that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, so Purple's was kind of a different story because they had only a singular piece of artwork for their original one.
Right.
So it
Right.
was very easy to basically like build
Build on
a whole
top.
generative
Yeah.
system on top of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of worked in such a specific way where we could do that and continue to keep the original like purple square tokens. And other
Right.
people have seen that and they're wondering how to do that. But if you already have a generative system in place, it's kind of hard to like completely replace the artwork and keep the original one. What you guys are talking about with just adding on new heads, that's like pretty easy to do, but it
Okay.
requires me to finish this proposal template essentially. So I'll be able to do that, and it'll be super easy. You'll just drop in the new heads. You'll just say like these are heads, and then boom, execute it, and it'll be pretty simple to do. And the other thing people have talked
Famous
about
last
wanting,
words, but
I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got a
But
couple months though for them, so we're good.
no, you got less than a month.
What? Seriously?
Oh yeah, we need new heads in there, man. There's too
We don't even have
many.
the one. We haven't even seen all the ones that are there. I
Yeah,
figured you'd at
exactly.
least
Because
wait
of
till that.
we've had 38 noun heads, and less than half of them have appeared because of odds clustering. So we need to get some more in there to mix things up.
All right. Interesting. Um, yeah, it's been fascinating. Ship in the bottle and plunger DAO. Anyway,
It's funny how it works.
it's really funny. Yeah,
It's hard to program randomness, is what it comes
yeah,
down to. I'm sure
that's what we need. We need randomness.
Neokry could
Okay,
probably do a thesis on this, but
the reason it's like that is because it's pure random. So
Yeah,
Apple Music, Spotify, they don't use pure random because you would get a bunch of songs back to
right.
back and you'd be like, this isn't random, I'm getting the same songs. But
yeah,
that is pure random. So that's what
right.
this is
Do you
specifically
remember?
why it's,
I specifically reached out to them, like Neo
yeah, a
and
lot
Zach,
of
and I'm like,
people have reached
when the
out.
next ship in the bottle came up, we had like three, and I'm like, okay, we've had 6 tokens, and half of them are the same head. Like, what's going on? Is something broken? And they're like, no, it's just random. I'm like,
No,
Yeah.
okay,
it's like the gambler's fallacy, right?
right,
Where
yeah,
people will say, "Oh, I lost this hand of blackjack, so the next
exactly.
one I'll win." But odds don't care about
No,
that.
Yeah,
You
especially
can
with a
lose.
small sample size when you have 12 tokens up, it's guaranteed to be random over a large set of values. It's not guaranteed to be, it's not even guaranteed to be random. Technically, it's pseudo random. So, as you've seen, as you guys know, like anyone can pick the noun's head on like the like for settling and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're just settling willy-nilly, it's like basically it's not gonna be random on a small set. It's gonna feel like
It's
it's
random, but
getting
it's
a
just not going to
license.
feel like it's random.
Yeah,
on a
that's
recent
yeah.
on a recent base builder space that we held last week, we were talking to the dev behind On-Chain Dinos, which is a fork of Tiny Dinos on base, and he was talking about how he similarly thought that his contract was broken because he, did some samples of like 10,000 dinos, and there was like literal twins coming up, like in his case, because there's not many traits in dinos, and so like literal twins were coming up, and he's like, "What the fuck? How is this possible?" And we started talking about the birthday paradox, which is something that, if you've never heard of it before, will definitely blow your mind. And I don't have it in front of me, but it's something to the effect of if you have a room full of people, I think I want to say 50 people, or is it even less than that? 26 people maybe. I'll double check. But anyway, if you have 26 people in a room, the chances that 2 of them will have the exact same birthday are more than 50%.
Yeah, it's much rarer for every token to be unique. That would be like, wow, that's pretty rare. It's more common for tokens to be similar.
So then that's why the the custom stuff, like you doing that kind of thing, can help with those artists, especially who want to make sure you're not getting 6 ships in a bottle. Like
yeah,
you're getting a little bit of everything.
You could essentially say like, hey, if you've already generated this combination, generate like a slightly different version.
Wait, we can do that. We can do that now or no?
No,
I would love
to.
You'd have to do a custom render for that.
Custom
but
render.
I mean, companies have spent years developing their random algorithm to feel random to humans. So this is a whole thing.
Interesting. This is really interesting. Okay, anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to highlight? It's a lot. We've got a lot going on as we wrap up.
I mean, Collection Plus would be the last big one. We could briefly talk about that.
Why don't you just give a quick overview of that, and then we'll wrap. What is Collections Plus?
So essentially, we built this new minter that lives on top of the protocol that essentially lets you set a list of users that you want to claim tokens for a price or for free. So this is used in the migration flow right now. So if you're migrating from L1 to L2, we take that snapshot of all your holders, we send over that little piece of data, and then this new minter will let them claim their tokens on L2 essentially. We auto claim for them, but anyone could just as easily come to the contract and claim their tokens as well.
Could you set a limiter on that, like a range? Again, going back to what we had to do from Yellow, is it possible for you to set it to say they can claim tokens after token 20?
Yes, this is one of the big features of, or it's actually, it would be before. So essentially you set like the beginning, you say like, hey, the first 100 tokens are reserved for claimers, the first 1,000, 2,000. So one of the ideas that we had for this was something called Collection Plus, where essentially you snapshot the holders of a current NFT. You basically put that into the minter, and then you say like, okay, now anyone that has minted this NFT can now come and claim these tokens, and you're essentially bootstrapping a DAO from like a current NFT holder base. And then one way to take that even further is to kind of snapshot the holders or get the token addresses and then send that to the token bound account of each NFT. And essentially the holder of the NFT is able to vote in the DAO. But if you sell your NFT, then you sell your vote essentially. So we're working with a couple of collections that are interested in doing something like that. It requires a little bit of...
That's using 4844, that one? Or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. But it does require modifying the token a bit. So we're figuring out how to do that style exactly. But the allow list where you just snapshot the token holders and then you set up a claim system, that's pretty easy to do. So we'll be able to launch that in the next few months. So
if you could consider enabling some sort of a granular control over that range, I think a lot of DAOs would find it really interesting, especially to be able to leave the first 10 to 20 tokens untouched. I think is something that every DAO should really do, because it's so important to have that momentum early on. Nobody wants to be the 101st person to join a DAO. At least
they're not
going to be rushing to do it, right? So I think like even if you were going to do a DAO for cryptodes, for example, even in that case, it would be fun to say, first 10 Cryptodes DAO tokens are reserved for auction. After that, the next 6969 are reserved for original holders or whatever. And then there's still the opportunity for people to be like, damn, I'm an OG Cryptodes, DAO member. I think that's an important thing to think about if it's not already
If it's
on
possible. Yeah,
the
that'd
radar.
be cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
There is some workaround we might be able to do with that, but it's pretty set up to where it's like it's off because it was pretty much built for this migration flow mostly, but this is kind of like an additional thing we can do with it at the moment. So yeah, I'll think about ways we can. There's definitely some ways you can do it where you can essentially like offset it by 10 and say like, hey, these first 10 tokens we can distribute in a different way. So like give them out to
cool.
OG holders or hold a raffle or do a prop house where like we want to give them out or something like that. Could be one way to kind of work around that as well. But yeah, we can think of creative ways to like do stuff like that too.
Really interesting. Okay, that is all we have today. Anything else, Toady, on your end that we should shout out? Yellow Collective has a mint right now, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
So
go to zora.co/based-and-yellow.eth and follow us. And that way you won't miss any mints from the Yellow Collective or from TNS. And the top mint or the newest mint right now is from Corey Van Loo, which is his first ever mint on L2 on base. First ever free mint. He's never done a free mint before. And I kind of explained to him what Zora was doing with creator rewards and convinced him to give it a try. So super excited about that, and hopefully opening up, we want to open up that paradigm to a new set of artists who maybe haven't tried it before, because it can be scary as an artist to put so much love and attention and effort into a piece of art and then put it out in the world for free less the platform fee, free to you anyway, because you're not getting anything for the mint until it gets minted and then Zora's sharing it back. So it's a neat idea that Zora's got, and trying to Zora pill and base pill some artists at the same time. And so yeah, go and support that. And then you get a free CVL piece. What's not to love about that?
Lou. Yeah, I'm going to go mint a bunch.
It's also a beautiful piece, and shout out to Prof and Art House who actually commissioned the piece originally in last summer. And he started painting it and did it live and brought it to a live event. And then just with the fork and everything was never able to figure out a way to mint it. And so I reached out to him recently and I said, hey, that piece, I've been thinking about it a lot because it was very blue and had a lot of gold pieces that seemed very based in yellow to me. What if we rejigged it a little bit and gave it some yellow noggles and tried this? And he was totally gung-ho and ready to do it, to his credit. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
So go check it out.
Awesome.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. And if you're in Builder DAO, please go check out the current props. And hopefully we'll get a few more if this L2 prop goes and we move to base. It will pause the auctions. So if you want one of the OG ones, you better hurry. So hopefully gas will calm down a little bit so we can get a couple more auctions off. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully roll on into an L2. And that's it for us. We will be circling back here soon. I don't know if we're going to do a show next week, but we will be on the following week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.